Meet Cassius Clay, the boxer better known as Muhammad Ali. You might remember him as the upstart Olympic gold medalist who developed into the most iconic boxer of all time. Or the bold civil rights activist who refused to be conscripted into the US military. Perhaps as the athlete who rumbled in the jungle, or simply the man so mean he made medicine sick. Whatever the recollection, he annihilated opponents with his fists of concrete inside the ring and knocked them out with his poetry outside it. He was an actor and a philanthropist, a charitable force of nature and an undisputed champion, a fighter and defender of the truth. In the world of sport, some have faced the challenge of representing their nations with names that don't necessarily roll off one's tongue. Like London 2012 Iranian weightlifter Saeed Mohammad Pourkakarag. Some have had their names altered for them, like Eldrick Taunt Woods, who the world knows as Tiger, named after his father's long-lost military friend. And then there are some, like Walker Smith Jr., who did it in order to compete. When he discovered that the minimum age requirement to fight in the Amateur Athletic Union of the US was 16, Smith borrowed his older friend's identity card. His name was Ray Robinson.
A Sugar Ray Robinson fight is always entertaining, except for his opponent.
He eventually became Sugar Ray Robinson, the future world welterweight champion. Lou Alcindor changed his name to the long-winded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, meaning generous servant of the mighty one, after winning his third college title at UCLA. Jabbar went on to play in the NBA, where he became a six-time NBA champion and one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And then there was Cassius Clay. The Olympic gold medalist became a heavyweight champion in 1964 when he upset Sonny Liston. Following the fight, he announced his conversion to Islam, and after being known as Cassius X for a short period of time, he took on the name Muhammad Ali. And with that name, he became greater than boxing itself.
Clay, soon to become Muhammad Ali, began speaking out on race relations, not from the integrationist perspective of Martin Luther King Jr. and the white liberal community, but from the point of view of Elijah Muhammad. That really shook up the world.
Coming up, Ali's rise to greatest of all time. On June 10, 2016, Muhammad Ali was laid to rest in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, with nearly 100,000 people lining his 37-kilometer funeral procession, chanting his name and throwing flowers. Ali's pallbearers included fellow former heavyweight champions Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, and actor Will Smith, who portrayed Ali in the 2001 film bearing Ali's name. He was eulogized at a memorial service attended by thousands.
You know, if Muhammad didn't like the rules, he rewrote them. His religion, his name, his beliefs were his to fashion, no matter what the cost.
He was funny. He was beautiful. He was the most perfect athlete you ever saw, and those were his own words.
Comedian Billy Crystal brought a lightness to the affair, reminding everyone just how great Ali was. Born in the still segregated city of Louisville, Kentucky in 1942, Cassius Marcellus Clay was raised in a society where racial inequality reigned.
From Texas across to Florida up to Maryland, we couldn't use a single public toilet. We couldn't use the library or the theaters or sitting in the public parks.
So Ali learned to fight, and his natural gifts of size, footwork, and once-in-a-generation hand speed led to a successful amateur career where he won 100 fights. He was a 6-time Kentucky State Golden Gloves champion, a 2-time National Amateur Light Heavyweight champion, and won light heavyweight gold in the Rome Olympics in 1960. He went pro 53 days later, and his unorthodox style confused fighters and trainers alike. Clay first went to boxing legend Archie Moore for training, but balked when Moore tried to instill his own traditional style of fighting in the youngster. The relationship finally collapsed when the former champ ordered him to do chores, something the future star saw as beneath him. He then found legendary trainer Angelo Dundee, who discovered the secret to getting Clay to do what he wanted: trickery. I made him feel as if he innovated everything and that I did nothing, he said. Dundee's methods worked, and Cassius went on to 19 straight pro victories in just 3 years. But Clay had his sights set on the biggest prize in sports, the heavyweight championship of the world.
Sonny Liston was Godzilla. He was unbeatable. He was going to reign for 1,000 years.
Yes, Sonny Liston was terrifying. His age was uncertain. He'd served 5 years in prison for armed robbery and beating up a police officer. He was managed by the mob and did part-time work for them as an enforcer. But inside the ring, he was even scarier. He'd taken the heavyweight title from Floyd Patterson with a first-round knockout and proved it wasn't a fluke by doing the exact same thing in the rematch. Still, he was totally unprepared for what was to come. But to be fair, everyone was. In 1964, aged 23, Clay was still relatively young and untested. To get his shot at the champ, he embarked on a public relations campaign, following him around town with journalists and cameramen in tow, before finally getting the champion to accept.
Because there's a good man to whoop me. You can look at me, I'm loaded with confidence. I can't beat me. I had 180 amateur fights, 22 professional fights, and I'm pretty as a girl.
In the ring, he was pretty devastating, dancing around to avoid Liston's lumbering power punches. Using his lightning speed to work Liston over with combinations, he wore the man down until he finally threw in the towel just before the start of round 7.
Never make me no underdog, and never talk about who's gonna stop me. Well, ain't nobody gonna stop me.
And just like that, the little-known challenger who came into the fight a 7-1 underdog was the champion of the world.
Everybody had bet Liston was gonna close this big mouth up. And they sat there stunned as this young man danced and took the title.
As surprised as the world was by Clay's victory, it was nothing compared to what was about to come.
The heavyweight championship was the most coveted title in sports. So when Cassius Clay dethroned Sonny Liston, he literally shook up the sporting world. But what Clay knew at the time, and most people didn't, was that the shock waves were going to go far beyond boxing and sports.
The Nation of Islam, an American offshoot of Islam specifically created by and for Black Americans, preached a doctrine of racial separation and black self-empowerment, and they terrified white America.
It would probably do America well to study the religion of Islam, and perhaps it could drive some of the racism from this society as it has driven racism from the Muslim society.
Cassius Clay's friend, Nation of Islam minister Malcolm X, had privately persuaded him to convert to Islam, a fact Clay kept secret until the day after beating Liston. He announced to the press that his name would now be Cassius X. A month later, the leader of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, renamed him Muhammad Ali. Ali ignored the public outcry and continued to win. He defended his title in a rematch with Sonny Liston in 1965, knocking him out in the first minute of the first round. His 8th fight as champion was against Ernie Terrell, who had continued to call his opponent Cassius Clay in the lead up to the fight. Ali picked Terrell apart with brutal combinations, repeatedly yelling, "What's my name?" Many believe Ali drew the punishment out to make a point.
Can you imagine being the top of your field, heavyweight champ of the world, endorsements, money, and you decide you're gonna take a stand? And the world denounced him. People would pay to go to fights to see him beat.
Ali's activity in the civil rights movement, his religious beliefs, and his invincibility in the ring angered most of America.
And Ali scared the American establishment. They didn't really understand black people very well. They didn't understand the Nation of Islam.
But it was his next decision that really tested the nation.
Will you go into service as such?
This would be 1,000% against the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the religion of Islam, and the Holy Quran, the holy book that we believe in. This will all be denouncing and defying everything that I stand for.
On April 28, 1967, Ali refused to step forward and be drafted into the U.S. Army and fight in Vietnam. As loved as Ali became later in life, it is difficult to remember just how truly reviled this made him.
He refused to step forward. Most of the really important sports writers attacked him viciously.
Stripped of his title and boxing license, unable to earn a living and facing 5 years imprisonment, Ali refused to give in.
My fight is legal. But if you notice, I'm been the most persecuted. I'm not allowed to work in America. I'm not allowed to leave America. Home of the brave, land of the free. Not even allowed to leave where I can work. Countries that will accept me. And now I'm due $10,000 fine in 5 years.
He lost nearly everything, getting by on money from speaking engagements in colleges. He put his energy into defending himself and promoting the civil rights movement instead.
He gave up all of his wealth and stature and fame for his principles, religious principles, and his sense of personal dignity.
The New York Supreme Court finally overturned Ali's conviction in 1970, and he returned to boxing after a 3-year exile. After the break, the most famous fight in history. In 1971, Muhammad Ali returned to the ring to regain the heavyweight title removed from him by the government. But the time away showed, and Joe Frazier handed him his first pro loss. Ali avenged the defeat 3 years later, but Frazier wasn't the champion at the time. That title belonged to George Foreman. To win his title again, Ali was going to have to beat Foreman. And if he succeeded, he was going to become more than the champ. He was going to become a legend.
People, Saudi Arabia, China, Japan, all over Africa, Europe, they all stood up at weird hours of the morning and night to see that fight. And they looked at it from Africa and they saw two men contending. One was supposed to win and the other had no chance.
Zaire's dictator, President Mobutu, wanted an event to put his country on the international map. And it came to him courtesy of a lesser-known but outlandish boxing promoter named Don King. For a share in the $5 million purse, he had convinced Ali to try and win back his belt. All he'd have to do was beat the current champ, George Foreman, an undefeated prodigy with thunder in his fists. If Sonny Liston had been scary, George Foreman was a nightmare. One of the most physically imposing heavyweights in history, Foreman was the prototypical power puncher. 7 years younger than Ali, Foreman had knocked out all but 3 of his opponents heading to Zaire. 2 of his victims, Ken Norton and Joe Frazier, hit the canvas in less than 2 rounds. Incidentally, they were the only men to ever beat Ali. People close to Ali were scared he would literally die in the ring. Both fighters spent months in Zaire getting used to the tropical conditions, and Ali's magnetic personality began to do its work.
He walked down the street, he could walk down the street in Africa. I mean, you'd pick up 100 people, be right behind him, hollering, Ali Boumaier, Ali Boumaier, and marching down the street. Ali was that much of a draw.
To cater to American audiences, the Rumble in the Jungle began at 4 in the morning. It didn't take long for Foreman to impose himself on the fight. He quickly tied Ali up on the ropes and proceeded to pummel him with punishing blows. It seemed all Ali could do was cover up and fire back between barrages. But what Ali was really doing was taking advantage of another of his natural boxing gifts, his iron chin. Ali's arms and the ropes he rested on took the worst of Foreman's power, while Foreman, who had rarely had to fight past the 4th round, began to wilt. By the 8th, Foreman was spent. With seconds to go, Ali unleashed a combination that sent Big George to the canvas, and Ali was the champion again.
At that point, if he hadn't been before, Muhammad Ali became the most famous, most recognizable person on the face of the earth.
After the fight with Muhammad Ali, I was devastated. I lost with my beloved heavyweight championship of the world. I wanted revenge.
But despite defending his belt 10 more times, Ali would never give George that chance. In 1975, a year after the Rumble in the Jungle, Ali would meet his old foe Joe Frazier for the 3rd time in the Philippines under an aluminium roof in punishing heat and humidity. The temperature in the ring was estimated at over 48 degrees Celsius, and Frazier was winning for most of the fight. At the end of the 9th round, Ali told his trainer, "Man, this is the closest I've ever been to dying." But Ali's tactic of targeting Frazier's head finally paid off. Already blind in one eye and with his other closed from swelling, Frazier failed to answer the bell for the final round. It was the last truly great fight of Ali's career.
I have the people thinking I'm fat. I have the people thinking I'm old. I'm at the end of the line. Now they will see how great I am.
Ali had lost and then regained his title to Leon Spinks in 1978 to become the only 3-time heavyweight champion in history, but it hadn't come without a price. Over 20 years of fighting for a living had rendered Ali mortal. His doctor Ferdy Pacheco begged him to retire in 1977 to limit the long-term effects of a lifetime in the ring, but Ali fought on. The most virulent infection in the human race is the standing ovation, Pacheco said. Once you've seen that, you can't get off the stage.
So I said to him, while we're fighting, why fight anymore? Don't continue to take it. And he told me to shut up. Then I finally got the referee, or Angelo Dundee, when I said, hey, what should I do, kill him? They came in and stopped the fight.
When he lost first to Larry Holmes in 1980 and then Trevor Berbick in 81, Ali finally admitted his time in the ring was done. Muhammad Ali retired from boxing aged 39 after 61 professional fights, 56 of which he won. In retirement, his health faltered fast. Tremors, slurred speech, slower movement, or what was once known in the boxing world as being punch-drunk. And in September of 1984, after 4 days of testing, Ali was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Although he dedicated his time to philanthropic pursuits, raising money for a Parkinson's center in Arizona and supporting charities, he largely receded from the spotlight.
When you're boxing, you're so competitive, you're so jealous. Then afterwards, you realize, hey, we have too much in common. We're both heavyweight champ of the world, got lots of children. Why can't we be the best of friends? And I found him to be the best of friends.
Then in 1996, at the Olympic Games in Atlanta, a shaking, silent Muhammad Ali was handed the torch to light the Olympic flame. And just like that, once the most hated man in America became its most inspirational figure.
I'll never forget it. I was sitting there in Atlanta. By then we knew each other. By then I felt it. I had some sense of what he was living with, and I was still weeping like a baby, seeing his hand shake and his leg shake, and knowing, by God, he was going to make those last few steps. No matter what it took, the flame would be lit, the fight would be won, the spirit would be affirmed. I knew it would happen.
In 1998, he was chosen as a UN Messenger of Peace in recognition of his work in developing nations. But the starkest symbol of his mainstream acceptance came in 2005, when President George W. Bush awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Only a few athletes are ever known as the greatest in their sport or in their time. But when you say the greatest of all time is in the room, everyone knows who you mean. It's quite a claim to make. But as Muhammad Ali once said, it's not bragging if you can back it up.
The same authority that had stripped Ali of his title, tried to fine him and throw him in jail, was now awarding him the highest civilian honor it had. Muhammad Ali was that rare example of a man who didn't change himself to become what the world demanded, but instead fought to have the world change for the better. When faced with the biggest battles of his life, no one expected him to win. But that never mattered to Ali, who said, "Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." Still to come, poetry in motion. In the world of modern sport, the battleground is a breeding ground for the war of words, where comments are used to get under the opponent's skin and potentially shrink them into submission. Boxing has led the way in this regard, but no Mayweather Jr., Bernard Hopkins, Lennox Lewis, or even Mike Tyson could ever formulate the poetic put-down better than the master himself, Muhammad Ali.
Who do you want me to fight? Who do the press want me to fight?
Who do you think you should fight?
The best man.
Who is the best man?
Who do you think? I don't know. Find him.
For all the rare and imposing tools Ali brought to the ring, he also had the unique ability to dominate opponents with the quickest combination of mind and mouth. The result made Ali the king of trash talk.
The man don't know nothing, and I'm going to show everybody out there watching this show and the whole world, and the world will bow and admit that I am the greatest of all times when you see what I do to George Foreman. I'm just getting hot thinking about it.
You are. Well, would you think, if you're so hot about it, have you made up a poem about him?
Yeah, I made up a good poem, a little short poem. I said, last night I had a dream. When I got to Africa, I had one hell of a rumble. I had to beat Tarzan's behind first for claiming to be the king in the jungle. For this fight, I've wrestled with alligators. I've tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning and put thunder in jail. You know I'm bad. I have murdered a rock. I injured a stone, and I hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I make medicine sick. I'm so fast, man, I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When George Foreman meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water and kill a dead tree. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.
Throughout his life, people tried to force Muhammad Ali to bend to their power. The greatest boxers in history, the press, the United States government, Parkinson's disease. Ali faced each and every one of them, never backing down and always coming out on top. Voted the greatest sportsman of the 20th century, there will never be another Muhammad Ali. And that is the truth.
You saw him on television, there was no one more beautiful. You saw him walking down the street, he was a beautiful thing to see. What a phenomenon.
He was the greatest of all times in his sacrifice, in his dedication, and in his commitment. So yes, he could beat everybody in the ring, but don't reduce him to just another boxer. He was a historic figure that changed history, and as he walks into the ages, let's know who he is.
I give you one more chance. Who's the greatest? You are!